Welcome to another episode of the Love Truth Leadership Podcast. Join us at the Roundtable, where we delve into young men's mental health. Our guests, Johnny, Brody, and Franko, share their authentic experiences, breaking the silence around this crucial issue. This podcast is a haven for those seeking understanding or support, offering sincere, empathetic discussions that turn personal stories into lessons for all. Join us as we create a community that champions mental health wellness and fosters meaningful conversations. Hi, I'm Nick.
I'm Larry.
Welcome to LTL, little spinoff we're doing called the Roundtable. What do you think about that, Larry? We're going to be interviewing a bunch of young guys here.
This is awesome. They're going to give us some great feedback today.
I don't know if they're capable. We'll see. No, they're all capable guys. We're going to get in and introduce them a little bit. Go ahead. Why don't you start?
I'm Franko. I've known Nick practically my entire life. Oh, I'm a big majority of it since I was like 4. And
Yeah,
I'm
4.
I'm 15 now.
Yeah.
And Larry's new for me.
I'm Brody, and I've known Nick about a year now, and I'm 18, a senior in high school.
I'm Johnny, and I've known Nick for 6-7 months now,
Yeah.
and I met him through work, and I'm 17, and I'm a junior in high school.
Today's a little sad day with Johnny. I just found out he's going to a different job.
Yeah, I am. I'm not too happy about switching jobs, but I kind of have to.
Yeah, that's something I kind of coached you with that a little bit, as far as letting you know that, life is something that you have to start preparing for at your age, really. And especially we come into life where we have certain circumstances that can influence us and make us have to make tough decisions early on. And Johnny found himself in that spot, unfortunately, but he's pulling through quite strongly about it, actually. And I'm really proud about how he's taken it as a young man and willing to step up and look at his future. Something I had a hard time doing whenever I was his age. And you got your stuff together, Johnny, just so you know.
Thanks.
You're on your way, my man.
Trying.
So Larry and I are doing a spin-off episode, and it's going to be called The Roundtable, where we plan to, right now we have 3 guys. Hopefully we can build it to where, we have a panel of, a lot of guys, a lot of young men sitting here talking to us about mental health and youth among men, young men especially. Really feel like, and both Larry and I really feel like a lot of the young men today have quite a fight ahead of themselves, and with all the influence that they receive, it's harder for them to stay as balanced. I mean, what do you think about that, Larry?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges and distractions that make it more difficult, both through school and in the home front as well. And you guys will probably help elaborate on it. Maybe you can help our listeners understand a little better what the challenges you face, and maybe we can give some ideas of how to get through those.
So today, just being an introductory episode, we're going to start out and just ask about what you guys think about facing mental health today. And especially as a young man, how is it for you facing mental health? So why don't we start out, share a bit about your own experiences or thoughts regarding mental health as a young man.
Well, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot right now with my mental health. Definitely, I feel good. Like, I have a lot of sources where I can just vent and talk about where I'm at and what I need to do. But I feel like with social media, that definitely changes a lot of people's mental health.
You think you're like a lot of people live in comparison to other people?
Yeah, definitely. I was talking to my friends and they're like, "Oh, why don't you use Instagram that much?" I was like, "Well, I don't really have a use for it, you know."
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I wish I can be like you." Where their like life is just like Snapchat, Instagram.
Yeah. Well, so you kind of notice that you stay out of that influence, and it kind of keeps you a little bit happier then, right?
Yeah, because I'm not comparing myself to other people.
Or seeing stuff that you wish you could have and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of live by the standard where I don't compare myself to other people. I compare myself to a week before, like a week
Like who you were.
a week ago. Yeah. And if I've improved enough.
That's pretty tough, right, Larry? I
Yeah.
mean, like, what do you think about what Franko had to say there?
You're saying you every week?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like if I don't change that much, I don't really like dwell on it. But like, I hope I can make like a big improvement on myself.
Do you think a lot of the youth are doing the same thing?
No, no, definitely not. I feel like they're definitely connecting their emotions to social media.
Why do they do that, do you think?
Just comparing and like what they don't have, they're comparing to other people and what they have.
Do you think they like to live in like a dream world a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, a bit, yeah. Because I mean, like on social media, it's like really just like the top people, supercars, mansions, all that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
How about you, Brody?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
What, you want me to repeat the question?
So just like how my mental health is or how I feel it is.
What?
kind of, or-
Sure about your own experiences or thoughts regarding mental health as a young man.
I think it kind of goes up and down. For me, it's been really good for a really long time now, but
Uh-huh.
there has been times in the past where like, I guess there's like kind of patches where just bad things happen and it can decline kind of. Maybe just because you don't have people to talk to about stuff or stuff like that.
Do you think that's kind of natural though to have like ups and downs a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think that pretty much everybody has ups and downs.
So go ahead and elaborate a little bit.
I guess kind of just,
Do you feel
Sure.
comfortable sharing an experience?
I mean, I can't
If not, it's
remember,
okay.
Can't really remember anything recently just because I've been,
You've been tough for a minute, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite a while ago.
And to give you a little backstory on Brody, he's got a grandpa that really leads him quite a bit as far as being a stable young man and giving him hobbies and making sure that he's on top of what he wants to do and learning how to do it and trying to achieve for that. Like, talk about your truck for a little bit, because that's a big hobby for you. You just got it back and driving, right, bud?
Oh, yeah. So I just did a bunch of stuff to the transmission. Like me and my grandpa worked on that for quite a while. And that was really nice to be able to work on that with him, just kind of because I've been working on cars with him like ever since I was like probably 6 or 7 years old. So
do you feel like you're having that strong, like fatherly figure in your life and your grandpa that kind of guides you? Do you think that's really important for a lot of young guys?
yeah, because if you don't really have someone to guide you, you'll just go down a kind of bad path.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen with a lot of different people.
Yeah. All right. And then we move into Johnny.
So is the question one more time?
Yeah, for sure. Share a bit about your own experiences or thoughts regarding mental health as a young man.
Yeah. I'd say for me, it's been kind of rough. Most of my life, I'd say. Like, it's either like a while ago, I had anger issues and a whole lot of things. So it's either I'd like wouldn't let anyone in really and didn't really have any outlets. And then later, when I started the control and wanted to get my life back together, like I would start to search to look for outlets, like the shop.
Yeah.
Like for sure, Nick, you've been a huge outlet. To
I'm glad to be that for you, just so you know.
Yeah. And that's what kind of hurts about like leaving this job.
You can come by anytime, my man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, just so you know.
Yeah, that's like the biggest part to me is just like the community with the shop and with you. And it's just like I've never really felt that, like not even in school or anything. So it's like kind of nice to like experience it and work.
So what you're saying, it's nice to have a constructive outlet, to someone you can trust and talk things through, right?
Yeah, and definitely like experience too, because like Nick's been through a lot, and it's like nice to like learn and like gain knowledge from him. Like my favorite quote from Nick is like, "All that I know is like nothing. Like I do not know anything." Like to help me learn this stuff in life.
Any of you guys want to add anything to that as far as it goes?
I mean, I think it's just really good to have outlets. Like that's a very like critical thing for like mental health.
Like a strong friend group,
Yeah.
mentors.
Yeah, like even I don't know, just stuff like hobbies to keep you busy, kind of stuff like that even.
So you're saying more constructive outlets because some people get into a lot of other stuff that
Yeah. So like things that like better yourself or
Better
other people.
yourself.
Yeah.
And how about gaming? I know a lot of young men get into that. Is that good for the health or not?
I mean, it really depends. It can be like, I think if it's the right amount, but it can like go too far. I've seen that even happen with me, like where I just, it like disrupts sleep and stuff because you're just like get really into it.
I've been
So,
there. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah,
Like-
I know Franko loves the game.
I try to keep it like a proportionate amount. Like try to go to bed at 10 times.
Yeah.
Try not to play too much. Get breaks.
But that's also a lot of how youth connects to their friends these days too, Larry. Is
They play games collectively.
they play games together, so you get like you hang out with your boys at school, and then you're like, I'll see you on Call of Duty later tonight, and then that kind of stuff. And so it kind of helps structure a bond. But I think a lot of the times where it's negative is if you don't have that outlet of friends that you're playing with, for one, and then two, if it becomes consuming, where it's like, okay, all I'm thinking about all day at work is going home and playing this video game that I've been playing. And then I get home and I play this video game and I'm just neglecting everything else that I need to do. That's where we start to develop an addictive habit. Yeah. All right. So we're going to get into the next question. What do you think are some common misconceptions or stereotypes surrounding young men and mental health?
I feel like a stereotype is that mental health, talking about it, I'm going to go with the big one, is that it's more of a feminine thing. Like you should just try to bottle it up as a man.
Yeah. So you feel like we're still living in that.
I feel like it's becoming more opening, but I definitely still feel like we need more time to just open mental health to everybody.
Yeah.
Do you think that's driven by maybe shame or guilt? Why they just don't want to talk about it?
Yeah, like a social stigma against it.
You're not manly enough to.
Yeah.
So I think I get the impression a lot of young people, well, I guess people my age as well, we bottle it up. We don't.
Yeah.
And we don't talk to other people about it. And the problem there is that creates another set of issues.
Yeah. And then you take it out on something or someone.
Yeah, anger, stress, or
Yeah.
depression or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Brody?
Can you ask the question again?
What do you think are some common misconceptions or stereotypes surrounding young men and mental health?
I don't know, maybe that young men just like already are like it. I guess like mental health wouldn't even affect young men. Maybe just kind of similar to
What Franko said.
but, I mean, that's kind of what it is. Really, it's just
So let me rephrase this a different way then. How are young men looked at if they share their problems?
it's pretty negatively because like they're, it's not really something. Or I mean, I guess it's kind of hard because you don't want other people to see you going and looking for help. Really.
Yeah.
Because if other people think you're like going to get help, then they'll think you're just I don't know. Yeah,
You're weak.
Yeah,
And they don't want to appear vulnerable, right? They don't want to.
yeah. They don't really want anybody else to see that they're going to get help.
Oh.
So they just don't even get the help in the first place.
So they perceive that as a weakness if they go get help, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Johnny? What do you think?
Yeah, like kind of along the same lines, like probably like weak. And like another aspect, like kind of to like the first way you put the question was like that does guys just have it better, in general?
We have it better in general.
Yeah, like I feel like that's like a stereotype where it's like, oh, being a dude is like so easy, like in life sometimes. I don't know if that's
Like where we get stuff handed to us, maybe.
something like that. It also
Yeah.
becomes like an issue between where like financially, I guess too, because like a lot of different situations affect like mental health. Like for me, like being in a lower financial situation, my mental health has a negative impact towards that because I'm always worrying about money. Due to someone else who has a lot of money, they're probably worried about something else different to my mental health too. So
All right. So going through school with you guys, maybe you can give me a comparison. How many boys do you see or young men do you see going to talk to the therapist compared to girls or
Well,
young women?
Okay. Well, I'm a sophomore I didn't really mention that earlier. I don't really see anyone doing it. Like I passed by the hall, empty, dead silent. Like nothing's going on.
Nothing's going on.
No.
And none of your friends talk about like
Mental health is one topic we have not touched on.
you've like told me before though, Franco, about how your friend group is pretty open.
Yeah, it's open, but like we really haven't talked about like how we're doing mentally. Like we can talk about problems, but like we haven't like touched on like how are each other, like how we are mentally. It's just problems we've covered.
And do you think that's something that you guys are like afraid of judgment whenever that comes down to it?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's just like the entire male group of are on my grade. Just like everyone's afraid to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. And now, so say you came across some kid at school who people knew he went to therapy. Do you think he'd be looked at differently than everyone else?
Probably.
Okay.
Because I don't know, there's a sign of weakness for like this is the social stigma.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, he's weak. He has to
Or
talk
he,
about
like
his
he's not right in the head or blah blah. And it's like
Yeah.
one of those things where who's right in the head? I mean, I don't think we're
Probably
Yeah.
nobody.
And then there's the fear of maybe being teased about it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you go to the therapist? Couldn't be me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I think everybody needs some kind of outlet like that, anyways, right?
Yeah. Either like a friend group or like a therapist.
Yeah,
Parents could be good.
or like
outlet.
a coach.
Anybody.
I got my Larry, so it's, I lucked
everybody
out.
needs a Larry in their
Yeah,
life.
that's right. That's right. All right. So next question then. Why do you think it can be challenging for young men to talk openly about their mental health? Actually, we kind of just talked about that
Yeah.
a little
Yeah, we
bit.
just kind of-
Do
Yeah.
any of you two want to talk about it?
Not really.
What was the question again? What was the question again?
Why do you think it can be challenging for young men to talk openly about their mental health?
I think just because they might not really like they'll kind of like downplay the issue, like in how bad it really is. So even if they do go to talk to somebody about it, they won't like really say what's going on. They'll like kind of downplay it.
So why do you think they do that then?
Just because I don't really know why they do it. I think it's mainly just because they don't really want to like say everything that's happening.
Could it be like,
Like-
I can imagine it almost being like a fear of a circumstance, right? So if I say this one thing and then next thing you know, it's going to get out about me that I'm this.
Yeah.
And so I don't want anybody to know that. So let me keep it hidden. And then that boils down to like a bunch of big issues that we don't have a whole lot of acceptance, for people and what they struggle through. And so that's where mental health still has kind of like a big stigma, don't you think?
Yeah. And I think it's also like maybe they're trying to get some help with like an issue, but they don't want to be like, they want to still get the like advice and help on the issue, but they don't really want to, like really say what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of something like that.
So bottom line, fear is driving the behavior.
Yeah.
Fear, whether it be peer acceptance, social acceptance. I think people don't want to tell people what they really feel because of fear of what they may think of them.
Yeah.
Right?
And like the more afraid they are, the more they'll downplay it.
Right.
All right. So how about I think we really covered that question in the second one. But how has societal pressure or expectations influenced your perception of what it means to be mentally healthy young men?
Well, so like, just to rephrase, just like what people like.
Society. So what does society put on you or expect of you to influence your perception of what it means to be mentally stable?
I feel like the way I look at that is like kind of with the people in my school, like they're always like energetic. Like society is like, oh, if you're an energetic person, like, or you're like seemingly really happy all the time or something like that, you have good mental health. Even though like reality, like that person could be putting on like the biggest mask and you wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's like
for sure.
something like that. Another way I'd put it, I feel like, is like, vice versa. Like if you're always like super bummy, that's just naturally how you are, like people always think like, oh my gosh, something's super wrong with him, even though you're like having like the best day of your life or something,
just because you maybe not completely outward.
Yeah. So it's just like the way people express themselves, like kind of what you were talking about a while ago with me, is just like how people like open your chest and you'll be like more opening to other people. And
Yeah,
stuff
go
like
out
that.
and love. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like different ways people like self-perceive themselves to others, that others look on them, kind of thing.
So so what you're saying basically is that you feel like in your experience at school, you have a lot of people who surround you that are extremely like outgoing and happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, I'd say like I kind of like am like that sometimes too. Like I can be some
But
days.
being that if you don't act like that, they assume something's wrong with you.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten that. Like, because there'd be days where I really am outgoing, and that's like my persona most of the time. Like, that's the energy I want to give off. But there's one day where I like wake up and I do like, I don't know, maybe journal and meditate, and I'm like super chill. And I'm chill all day, and everyone thinks something's wrong with me. I'm like, well, maybe if you get to know me more, it's like, I'm actually really chill some days too. You know?
Yeah.
People have different things.
So, what's your perception on what it means to be a healthy individual? Then, a mentally healthy individual.
I feel like mentally, like healthy is being able to talk about it. I think that's like the strongest thing you can do is like accept that something's wrong and you're willing to overcome yourself and fix it. Like that's the thing, because I feel like people is like will ignore the problem. It's like, I don't have anything wrong with me, even though something's eating at them inside. But like, I feel like the stronger man or the stronger person will like accept that something's wrong with them and talk about it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I appreciate you bringing that. Awareness is, I guess, what you're saying is the first element of change, right? And you got to be aware that you even have an issue. And if you put it away, it's not going to necessarily go or put it somewhere else. It may come back later to haunt you if you don't resolve it.
Yeah.
So I would like to say this because I really feel like society. Do you have something you want to talk about, Brody? Okay. I feel like society or the expectations of young men today are really about how they've been for a long time. You know, if you're a man, you're developing into a man. Men don't cry, right? Men don't voice their stuff, you know, and so how does that influence each one of you? Do you think like that? Or do you think it's safe to cry as a man and express your emotions like that, or do you find yourself going, I feel like crap today, but I can't express it because society doesn't allow me to?
Well, like about the thing about like men don't cry, I feel like that's like a big thing. Like everyone's just taught that as a man. Like you can't cry, or else like you're vulnerable, you're weak, you can't be a man. That's like the thing.
Okay, so how does that influence you, Frank?
Well, I've learned that like crying is good, but like I feel better if I cry like alone to myself,
Okay,
and then
okay.
to other people.
Okay.
It's like I feel like alone, like crying alone is like the best, and then crying with a woman is like the worst.
Oh, what about your mom, dude?
Well, like that's the thing. Like parents have like a different like
A different level.
yeah.
So if you cry in front of a chick, she's just gonna look at you like you're a weak little
Basically
little boy.
little puppy.
Yeah. Okay. And so how does that make us want to react then?
No, we just can't cry in front of women.
So do you feel like it's not safe for you to open up in front of a woman then?
Crying, but like opening up, I feel like you can get away with some things if you open up.
Okay. What about you, Brody?
So just like crying.
So no, just like being a vulnerable man. How do you feel like if you were to say tomorrow you go to school and something just overloads you, right?
Yeah.
Are you expected to keep quiet and bite it down? Or are you, and if you weren't, able to bite it down, what is an acceptable way to express yourself and what is not acceptable?
I mean, I guess crying like really kind of isn't. And, you might say something, but you're not going to cry. and
Yeah.
stuff,
What about
but,
just voicing displeasure?
I mean, I guess sometimes, like if you're like angry, maybe, but like because I know sometimes when people are angry, they'll voice stuff still,
Yeah.
but it's not like crying and
No.
So it's
And where I agree. I mean, crying sometimes depends on what it is, right? If your grandma just died or something. Sorry, Franco. But like, go ahead. I mean, if you want to talk about that, because you just had an experience with
Yeah.
this. So how did that affect you around your friend group at school?
I mean, like for me, so my grandma died recently.
Yeah.
And I just try to get it all out in one day. Just be weak that day.
Yeah.
And like the next day, I had to go to school, and I wasn't really as energetic, but I still tried to put like a facade, and like that was okay. But I definitely kind of was less energetic overall.
Do you feel like you would have felt like you were more accepted, or you could be more of yourself if you're allowed to voice that pain that you were going through?
Yeah, if I was allowed to voice it, I feel like I could have been like whatever I wanted those days.
Okay. All right. So have you or someone you know personally dealt with mental health challenges, and how did you or they seek to help to cope with it?
For me, it started out where it was like, my mental health was like, I didn't really cry. I just got super upset and I'd be super angry. And I realized that wasn't really healthy.
I'm going to which is deemed to be an acceptable response. Wouldn't you say, Larry? Like, voicing your displeasure and anger for a man is acceptable, but to be all like, okay, I'm not, I'm upset, but I'm going to voice it in a way where might not be more as acceptable, but it's probably more, it would be healthier rather than getting angry. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Go
that's
ahead.
what I
Yeah.
kind of realized, because like I'd always be so hostile towards like everyone I like around me, and then like it's like kind of going a little back where it's like these people will perceive you in a way where it's like if you do or you are upset, it's like socially acceptable to be to be mad, but at the same time they'll like the disinterest factor. It's like I don't want to be around him. He's always like upset. And it's always negative energy coming from him. And I dealt with that. I think that's like most of what I've been through is like not having people, because I was always so upset. And they'd be like, they didn't like me because I was like either upset or negative. But I was trying to fix it. And then
So you saw the negative consequence of your anger.
yeah. And then I mean, granted, like I developed like, because I went to I started reading books and like a lot of stuff. There's I have to think about it. My dad showed me this book because we kind of deal with the same stuff, and it was just like to have not like a over emotional heart, because that's why you're so upset. It's like the only way you can cope with that is because your heart, you take everything to heart. So then I had to deal with that, and then you kind of taught me like recently days like don't give a crap what other people think too, and then that kind of grew me in a way where I still really struggle with it. Like, but
And to tell you the truth, that's not a complete true statement. I feel like not giving a crap about what other people think is safe, but at the same time, choose those people wisely that you do want them to care about what you think,
yeah,
right? Like the people that you really, opinions that'll matter to you, maybe choose a little bit wiser.
yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, I like it that way a little bit more. And it's like, it'd be like, I coped with it like by researching and like finding out ways to better myself and practicing those things. But I know friends who, to answer your question, they would like go to therapy. They would like go to a school counselor, or maybe just like, I know a really common thing nowadays people deal with mental health is the gym.
Oh yeah.
Huge. It's totally blown up, which I think I'm not dissing on. I think it's a really good thing. But at the
That's
same
one of
time,
I think that's one of the
Yeah.
best sources for dealing with any mental issue.
Oh, Jim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going working out.
Working out.
yeah, this like the huge gym culture, because like that's all like my guy friends do. It's like, or just people at my school like I meet. I'll be like,
That's their source.
yeah, that's their source of thing. I'll be like talking within my friend group sometimes, and then like literally all the guys are just like, we should go to the gym. I'm like, whoa, really? And then like like all the time, that's all I hear is just gym, which is like really cool. Like I really support that, how they're like bettering themselves in a way that like doesn't hurt others, but like strengthens themselves.
And releasing the proper hormones and all kinds of stuff for a better brain function.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Which I totally suck at doing that. So I need to get back going to the gym a little bit more.
Me too, Nick. Me too. Yeah. Do you guys want to add anything to that kind of?
Not really. No.
Oh, what's the next question, Nick?
What role do you think friends and peer support play in maintaining good mental health as a young man?
So pretty much like how your friends influence it. I mean, I think it depends if, you can talk to your friends about things. Like if you can't talk to your friends about things, then it would probably harm it more than be good for it.
If you were to talk to your friends about things, excuse me, and they were to make fun of you, would you look for different friends?
Yeah. Just because you don't want to really talk to, or I guess like talk to people about stuff that, like won't listen to you.
Could you imagine some people don't feel like they'd be accepted in other groups, so they keep these friends that make fun of them?
Yeah, where I think some people just don't even talk to their friends about stuff like that in the first place.
Yeah.
So they don't really even need to, look for another friend group really. So they kind of try to stay with the same people.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like how everyone in that, group would be.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What about you, Franco? I know your friends play a pretty good role.
Yeah, I mean, we're a pretty open friend group. We can talk about our problems, and I like how Brody talked about the negatives, so I can talk about positives. I feel like it's really good just having a good outlet of social people or social friends that can, help you get through issues. Because we talk about problems and then like everyone puts an input on it.
So I'm going to ask, how does your friend group influence your physical health?
My physical health?
Yeah.
We're pretty good. Like one goes to gym, two are on track, another is on sports. All of them have like a pretty active life.
All right, cool. I know you ride your bike with your pops too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you view relationships between physical health and mental health? And do you think they're connected?
So I feel like when you start a relationship, it's more physical. But
like what do you mean?
Like when you see someone, you're more physically attracted to them. Then when you get to know them, then you become more mentally attracted to them.
Okay, so that's kind of getting off the question though, with everybody a little bit. Like how your body is physically healthy in comparison to your mental health.
I feel like it's like case by case though. Like because like people go to the gym.
Yeah.
They could either be like good physical strength, good physical, but like bad mentally. Like they're trying to use it as an outlet.
They can, yeah.
But like people who don't go to gym, they could be mentally.
So there's
healthy.
a balance then what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay if you're physically healthy, but if you don't have a good mental practice or a good routine on your mental side, then you're still subtracting from your physical health a little bit probably.
Yeah. Like you try other things that maybe aren't so good for you.
But so I'm going to combat you a little bit on this because there's 100% scientific proof that having a good workout routine as well as like a mental routine, right, Larry, that they are interconnected as far as you're more mentally stable whenever you have a better physical health. So the people that go to the gyms are a lot more mentally stable than somebody who just sits on their couch and watches TV or has just negative habits.
Well, I mean, if they have negative habits, then probably not.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like going to the gym will take longer, like for your physical and mental health to get better. Because like, if you have a therapist, then you're probably mentally going to be better for like faster term.
Yeah.
But like if you're going to the gym, it'll probably
so I know after I ride my bike, so say I go ride my bike and I'm like, before I get on my bike, I'm just having a bad day. And then I go and ride my bike, my problems feel like they're nothing.
Well, yeah, it's because like I feel like when you're just like you and your thoughts, you can really like go through problems by yourself. Mm.
Yeah. So have I changed your mind a little bit on physical health being a little bit better as far as like helping your mental health?
Mm.
What do you think, Larry? You've been quiet for a minute, but I know you ride like crazy.
Probably too much.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm overextending it. Maybe
Well,
I'm too addicted to it.
but at the same time, you have a good relationship with it, though.
Yeah,
You would say.
Well, I use it. I kind of leverage the activity because not only do I ride, but I think and I listen to a lot of audiobooks. And
So maybe do you think it has a play about what you're thinking about when you're having that physical exercise?
Yeah, it does.
So if you're thinking about like maybe things that are making you angry, the exercise isn't probably going to help
No, it's
too
good.
much, you know. So we're all our thoughts internally, but there's this book that I want you guys to, and it's called Unf Yourself, but I've read this thing a bunch, and you guys have actually listened to it at the shop. Franko, you haven't yet, but it's a good book. And one of the things he says is we are not our thoughts, we are our actions, you know, so we are what we do. It's like, I'll give you an example. So I'll have a customer who'll come in and I'll sit there and think like, man, I don't want to help this customer, but my action is actually helping the customer. You know, I look at them and then I immediately greet them with a smile. How are you doing? So I am not how I think. I am how I act towards that person, basically, right? That's getting a little off subject, though. But yeah, are you working tomorrow, Franko?
No.
Oh, I was going to play the book tomorrow.
I'll probably be here Tuesday, though.
All right, cool. So are there any specific coping strategies or self-care practices that have been effective for you guys in managing stress or anxiety?
Gratitude journal.
Bam. That's
Bam.
my man.
He's
Bam.
Yeah.
he read the script.
Yeah.
It has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Like, having a rough day and then like waking up the next morning and journaling all my thoughts, I'm like completely new mindset. Like, no matter how crappy my life may be or it may seem to be, in a lot of circumstances, I can always find things that are like, you know, it could be worse. You know,
Right.
It always could be worse. So I think that has helped a lot. I just had to say that. I knew the answer.
I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, what I've started to do, Johnny, is not only doing it in the morning, which I've done for a long time, but I'm doing it in the evening too now. And I'm finding that helps me sleep better.
Oh,
I don't know. It's a cathartic activity. If you know what that word is, a stress reliever.
yeah.
So I'll just write down some things that were positive for the day and, you know, what things that I felt good about. And that seems to set the stage to sleep better.
Sleep better.
Yeah. So it just takes a few minutes
Yeah.
in the evening. So now I'm doing not only morning, but now I'm doing evening.
Yeah. So do you think if you cycle it more, like it'll benefit you like even more throughout
Yeah.
your days?
Yeah.
Like the more you do it, the better you'll be.
And then sometimes Nick knows this. Sometimes when I confront a problem or a challenge, I'll write down a bunch of questions. I don't write answers initially. All I do is write a lot of different questions. So it gives me a different viewpoint about the issue. Eventually, one of the questions will lead me to the answer. So it could be the 20th question, could be the 50th or whatever. But sometimes when I just keep writing questions, it creates a paradigm shift. I see things differently when I do that. So you might try that too. So sometimes I'll do it besides the gratitude journal.
Yeah, that's good.
And one tip I'll give you about the questions is make sure they're not a why question, like why is this happening? Make sure it's like a what can I do about this? Like a what question.
What or a how or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really thought about it that way before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So when I'm confronting something versus saying, well, why am I going through this crappy situation? I'll say, hey, what can I learn from this? How can I be a better person? What's something I can do to make this thing differently or better for myself?
Yeah. I'd say another thing to answer that question is you sent me this app, but it was the Meditate app. And that has been really beneficial.
Oh,
to
yeah.
me. Like it's been crazy.
Well, I tell you, I could have used that in my youth. You were talking about anger. I had a serious anger issue when I was a teenager.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you wouldn't
big
guess
time.
it today, but
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it was way out of control, but it was a coping mechanism I had,
Yeah.
and I didn't know anything about meditation or gratitude or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually I grew out of it, but it was a tough time back then.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad we're doing this now. Cause like, I'm able to experience it now. Like before I just deal with anger for the rest of my days kind of thing until I figure it out later, you know, it's been really cool. Like I'd get a notification on my phone. It's like, you know, meditate, take a break. Like
Right.
it's literally just 5 minutes. I'm like, you know, I could take 5 minutes, come back fully reset. I actually feel energized to go do what I was doing, like from that thing, which is crazy.
I notice if I don't meditate in the morning, my day is
it's
just
gone.
is like thrown off. I don't feel balanced. It's something that really sets me up for sure.
Yeah. So I do both that now, morning and evening. Here again, I wasn't doing the meditation or the journaling. Now I do that in the evening besides the morning.
Sweet. Right on.
What about you guys? Any coping strategies that you, Brody, Franko, that you guys use to deal with anxiety or stress?
I mean, sometimes I just go and ride my bike too, and that's kind of how I do it.
Yeah, or build a computer.
Yeah, building computers, working on cars, stuff like that.
Yeah, having some kind of hobby that you can focus on for a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really important to have hobbies. I think like things to like constructive things.
yeah, for sure. What about you, Franko?
When you said that question, I came up with 3 answers that I kind of do. So for like when I'm having a bad day, I just think about what has gone good in my life. You know,
Cool.
try to get my mind off what's bad.
So he practices gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at night, I try to just be me with my thoughts. You know, just try to think through problems. You know,
Yeah.
see what I can improve on for the next day. And then, the third thing I do is just try to just separate everything. You know, try to disconnect days.
So you take a step back.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for sure.
Try to
Taking a step back and kind of like taking an outward look from your situation.
Yeah. Try to see what I can improve on or like how big it really is. Because in the moment, it could seem like pretty big. And then you're like, oh, I was barely anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't really matter, you know.
What advice would you give to other young men who might be hesitant to speak, to seek help or talk about their mental health?
Just do it. Just find someone to talk to. Parents, anyone close, friends.
Do you feel like there needs to be more of an outlet for kids these days or young men these days
Definitely
and I wouldn't say necessarily to connect with a therapist or somebody, but maybe just to connect with other young men, you know, to talk about their problems.
Well, because I feel like it would be like more of a social media type app because like they're on it
Like
a lot.
Discord or something like that,
Yeah,
maybe
just
even
an anonymous outlet.
Yeah.
So they don't feel like judged.
Yeah, and I was actually on Reddit the other day and found a bunch of like groups that guys can just go to and be all, I'm 19, I have this problem. You know, Reddit's all anonymous posting, right? And unless you're whatever, you know.
Unless you put in like
but you just post anonymously and then people come in and give you advice, and it's a really cool outlet for a lot of people to be able to do that. Another thing is finding maybe like a Discord that you can join in. I know there's one Discord and they do video game therapy, and what they do is they connect people who are having a hard time with other people who are going through the same hard time, and they all get together and play video games together. That's kind of a cool outlet because
gaming's pretty big.
Gaming is huge nowadays. And so whenever you can be in a non-judgmental setting with that and at the same time do something that you kind of enjoy, that's another outlet that a lot of people can have. What about you, Brody? What advice would you give to other young men who might be hesitant to seek help or talk about their mental health?
Yeah, I mean, just really just going and doing it. I think also once, like, the more people that do it, it will become more normal too. And then there won't be quite as much of a, you know,
The stigma.
stigma around it.
Yeah.
So like the more people that do talk to like therapists and stuff, that will, you know, kind of go away. Like, you know, stigma.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really feel like it needs to be more of a young men connecting with other young men or young men connecting with other men who have the experience of being a man and going through the same issue that they've gone through.
Yeah. So like support groups almost.
Yeah. Kind of like what we're doing here, you know, almost. Can you share any positive experiences where opening up about your mental health improved a situation or relationship? Brody's
I can't really think of anything.
I'm quiet.
I don't know, honestly.
I think this is a question for Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Johnny and you and I have talked a lot, my man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That
have.
is true.
It's been where I've closed the shop down, everybody's gone home, made everybody clock out, and Johnny's still sitting here, and I'm like, oh, what do you want to talk about, Johnny? And then we sit here and talk for hours.
Yeah.
I'm glad that. Have you had a positive takeaway from that?
Yeah. No, for sure. Definitely, it helps a lot. Like just talking.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't know. For me, like it's kind of like throughout kind of my whole life, I've never really had like groups of friends. Like I'd always either be like working on my car or just like doing my own hobbies or just like homework.
Yeah.
That's it. Or just working. Normally I just work a lot. And then
Yeah.
it's like I don't have the outlet. Like coming here to work and like having that outlet of talking definitely like helped me and then grew my relationship with you
Yeah.
a lot because like now it's just really cool to talk to you. Just like nonchalant.
Yeah.
And then like it definitely helped with guidance too. Like just getting it out like helps a lot. So I guess positives of it is one, it gave me knowledge of things I can do or question or should do. It helped me build my relationship with you, Nick, which was really cool. And while I'm on this podcast, which is pretty sweet. And it helped like I don't know, like whatever it is that stimulates your brain of getting it out, like is so sweet. Like
You have a weight that's taken off.
yeah, like because I feel like a weight on me like all the time, But like whenever I talk to someone, even just for a brief couple of minutes about something, like it'll get super deep, and then it'll just like weight off my chest a little bit, and it's just like it's so nice. It's a good feeling.
Well, it's been a privilege to provide that for you, Johnny. Just so you know, my man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, really. Like, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard once from a speaker I heard years ago that he equated problems with rocks in a backpack.
Oh.
And he says, man, we carry a lot of crap around with us. You know what I'm saying? He says, man, you got to take that stuff out of the backpack. And we no sooner take it out and then we reload it with something else, some anger, stress, or unresolved. And so he talked about different means to help relieve that. And one of those is finding a good friend that you can trust. It's not going to make you feel ashamed or foolish. That can help you, talk things out. Now, some people have therapists, but unfortunately that costs money. But if you can just find someone you can trust, a good friend, talking it out, sometimes it helps take some of the stress, or in this case, those heavy rocks out of your mental backpack.
Frank, do you have something that you wanted to add to that, buddy?
Just mainly just get a good group of friends. You know?
That's big.
that really helps.
What about advice for those guys that have a hard time making friends?
It's either going online and try to make friends, or just going out there and I mean, like without school, it's kind of hard to do because school is like where a lot of people meet and like a lot of friendships are made.
Yeah.
But I feel like going to social events, going to something you like, you can see a bunch of other people and see what they like, the same thing, see what other things they like.
Looking up support groups, that kind of stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
How can we all challenge the stigma around young men's mental health and encourage more open conversations?
Just probably talk about mental health more.
Yeah.
Just try to really take that stigma out. But I mean, like, I feel like getting into the younger groups will definitely help with.
Can I challenge you guys with something today?
Okay, yeah.
I challenge you each to bring one friend to the next roundtable.
Okay. I'll say we have a mental health podcast in my group chat. See who wants to come on.
Yeah. You think you're up for that, Brody?
I mean, it really just depends if scheduling and all that works out.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, we can work around their schedules too.
Because they're coordinate with 3 different people. I think it could happen though.
Yeah,
it just had to be planned out. But yeah.
No, I'll tell you what. If you each bring one friend, I'll buy pizza for everybody.
Food talks, huh?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I love food.
Well, Don't bring your super silent friend that
dude. He said bring a friend.
He didn't say qualified.
Hey, he actually is really good with this stuff.
Okay,
He could get pretty good with this stuff.
All right.
If I have a car.
Yeah, I hope you do.
I hope I do too.
Yeah, for sure. If not, make him drive you.
I'll make him drive.
There you go.
Try not to spend too much gas money.
But so, and I really feel like that in itself, we just challenge the stigma.
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
it's
what I'm
like
saying?
one person turns into two, turns into four.
And exactly. And then they start to feel safe, you know, and like, hey, I have this outlet here and I get to go talking to these guys. And granted, we're not trying to get into anything deep and share stuff that people don't want to share. But at the same time, we want to bring awareness to the issue.
This is really just trying to get to surface level.
Yeah.
Bringing it out there.
Yeah, exactly. And making it more of something that we feel like needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we as guys have a tough, you know, road ahead of us. And especially you guys nowadays at your age is, you know, I can't imagine being 18 right now, looking at moving into 40 with the way the condition of the world is and all the negative influence that you have. It's just crazy.
I mean, it's like, we don't know how it is going to be like 10, 20 years down the line.
Exactly.
It's like really just a mystery.
Yeah. And I mean, whenever I was a kid, the biggest thing was what the 2000, you know, the computer's shutting down and that's the end of the
new millennium.
Yeah. And that's the end of the world is when the computers shut down or the Mayan calendar, you know, and now you guys are actually facing real things, you know, like global warming and the possibility of, you know, these wars that are going on right now and almost World War III happening at our doorstep with all the stuff that's going on in Israel and everything right now. It's just crazy what's going on. And I'm afraid for you, to tell you the truth, but we're actually, I would say that's going to be what we talk about maybe next round table.
Next Friday.
Yeah. Or we could, I don't know, maybe next Friday, but we'll figure it out.
Well, we have to get a schedule for this.
Yeah. I really feel like we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Do you think schools and educational institutions are doing enough to support mental health of young men? And if not, what changes would you suggest?
No. Just the changes, just trying to like talk about it more because like no classes are like, oh, what's your mental health like? It's really just like what the curriculum's been. Yeah. Like just like some people don't even know they have bad mental health right now. It's just really like nobody really knows right now. Yeah.
What do you think, Brody?
I think they try sometimes, but it just doesn't work. It's the complete wrong way they try, like, to help. Okay. Like, you know, sometimes they'll try to do things that's like not relevant to, like, you know,
what the kids are going through. What would be a relevant way then?
I think maybe like actually having support groups with support groups act really, because like that's something that's like not really actually no, that wouldn't really work though. I mean, it'd be kind of hard though, like in school on the school day.
All right. So what about you, Johnny? Do you have anything on that?
Kind of like the same, like men's groups or something, like support groups for sure.
Young men support groups? Yeah,
young men support groups. Just like, just specific, like this, like, like this, here's a group. Like,
do you feel like now this is a question for all of you. Do you feel like the world would be in a better place if men who knew how to handle their, you know, and this goes back generations, but if young men knew how to handle their stuff and how to handle their mental issues, like we wouldn't have a whole lot of world problems?
Yeah. No, I feel like for sure, like if this like was a big thing and like people did get the help and then they get the help they needed, like there would be a lot less rates of really negative things going on in the world today.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like they would be so much more drastically lower, I'd feel like, definitely, than they are today. I mean, rates on certain things with like men, right, like negatively, are just way too high right now.
Well, I mean, what, men equate to 70% of suicides?
Yeah. And like the
like
divorce
60
rates.
or 70%. Yeah.
Yeah. And everything with men.
Divorce rates between married couples, or what was it the other day? That was Franko looked this up the other day for me. It was like
3.5
out of 5. 3.5 out of 5 marriages, Larry, end in divorce.
Yeah.
I beat the odds, I guess.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but back to your question, I feel like a lot of people just take their mental health and put it on something, and then that something could be really bad or really good. Mostly, it's terrible.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's
Like
fair
a
to
lot
say.
of fights.
You have the kids who end up getting guns and shooting up schools.
Yeah,
And all that kind of stuff. And if you think that, like, if they had a healthy mental outlet, do you think they'd be in that situation of shooting at the school?
definitely not. Because I feel like it's just like, oh, if I feel bad, making other people feel bad
Yeah.
or worse.
Yeah. What resources or organizations do you think are valuable for young men seeking help or information about mental health?
I mean, like the big one's just like therapists, but
Okay.
like, those cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
The counselors, they don't charge at school. Don't you have counselors?
Yeah, we do, but like I feel like it's just like a social stigma against that.
Oh,
Like people are seen as weak if
Yeah,
they go
people-
do
there.
they?
yeah.
So they don't seek them out.
No.
What do you think, Brody?
Can you ask the question again?
What resources or organizations do you think are valuable for young men seeking help or information about mental health?
Support groups.
Like the YMCA, maybe something like that. Wasn't the YMCA started as something like that for men?
Yeah.
A place for men to go to be balanced and healthy and be surrounded by other men and learn how to deal with their problems together.
Yeah.
There needs to be more YMCAs out there then, huh?
Yeah.
I think they're more recreational gyms now.
Yeah, they are. They're 100%
Or
recreational
like swimming
gyms.
pools and
Yeah.
stuff like that now.
I remember the first time I went into a YMCA, I was like 11 years old, and my mom's all, "We're going to the YMCA." And I'm like, "You can't go there. You're not a man."
I thought a YMCA was a gym. I thought it was a
It is
gym.
nowadays.
It is.
I didn't know it was meant to be like a social group.
Yeah, it was when it was first started. I believe it was the Young Men's of America or Young.
Man, something.
Yeah, but it was meant to.
I thought it was just gym.
Yeah,
I
no.
thought that was like the main purpose.
Yeah. How can we better educate parents or guardians about mental health needs of young men? And this is a last question.
I feel like we just have to start now, because like it's really just like if we start now, then future parents will be better. But like today, I feel like it's just, they're already rooted in their old habits.
So if we teach young men and women today how to deal with mental health, they're going to teach their kids how to deal with it.
Definitely. Well, it's like the older generations are just so rooted in their old habits that we
Yeah.
have to really kill them.
Well, I
now.
mean, it's still one of those things where we can teach them, right? Don't you
Yeah.
think?
Well, I feel like they just have to be open, but like the older generations were taught to be closed off.
A lot of them were, yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Brody?
Maybe just like, I don't know, kids talking to their parents more about mental health, which I think they already do. Wait, was that the question?
Maybe through this podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
Hopefully. Yeah. To show them an episode, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You have any other ideas?
I mean,
Just
yeah,
talking to them. I really feel like with you, Brody, you have a hard time answering a lot of these because you're
Little bit.
set up really well, buddy. When I look at you, I see somebody who has a good social outlet, and then two, has a great leader and a grandpa who takes them hunting, takes them out with all the uncles and everything, and brings a lot of balance to your life, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like that's a really good just a group and stuff too.
Yeah. So say this. Say you were going through something. How would you approach your grandpa and say, "Hey, Grandpa, this is what's going on"? Or do you think he would be able to recognize that you got something going and then be open enough to ask you?
I mean, he could probably recognize it, but we also just like talk for hours on end, and things just kind of come up, and then it gets into kind of a deep conversation about like what's going on, and then like how to figure it out and solve the issue.
Yeah, that's
So
really cool.
It's like just like kind of talking long enough.
Yeah. So you feel like a lot more young men need that, don't they? Don't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
And it's missing from a lot of, I think the majority of people actually.
Yeah.
Just like someone they can, talk to for hours on end, and like stuff can get fixed that way.
Yeah. Did your grandpa ask a lot of questions?
Kind of. Not I don't know about a lot of questions.
I want
It's
to meet
kind
him one of these days, just so you know, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bring them onto the podcast.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
maybe.
But so just run me through like a quick example of a conversation between you and your grandpa. How's it start out?
Usually just talking about like cars and stuff like that.
And then he's all like, the
yeah.
carburetor's a lot like a woman. You got to adjust it really, really easy, right?
Or a backfire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes stuff like goes from one thing and then it like gets into another.
Yeah. Just so it just
Conversation.
flows really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Johnny? You want to repeat the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How can we better educate parents and guardians about the mental health needs of young men?
Kind of what Larry said, this podcast is a really good one. I feel like more modern ways, I feel like, like podcasts or like something that navigate towards the parents,
Okay.
Like-
okay.
for sure, like talking to them, like us as kids, is a big thing. It's really hard. Maybe like for parents, like it's opening up a letter in the mail. Like, oh, what's this? Because they read their mail. And it's like a oh, yeah, it's like a little letter that says, here's everything about men's mental health or something, or like
Okay.
something that's like could be old fashioned, moderately like navigated towards the parents,
Old fashioned. I'm as old as his mom is.
Old fashioned.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't have to check my letters.
I don't check my mail at all.
Email.
There we
Email. Yeah, I never
Okay,
check
Nick,
my email.
you're as old as my kids.
go. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I know.
shoot.
Yeah.
Dang.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have any, Larry? All you guys, do you have anything you want to end on?
That's like be grateful.
Be grateful. Cultivate a attitude of gratitude, right?
Yeah.
Tell them the GPS, Larry.
Oh, is that for this one?
Yeah, I think it's for everything.
Well, you guys know what GPS stands for, right? It's all in our apps, particularly
Yeah.
Google apps and everything. Well, a lot of stuff, but global positioning system. And I was telling Nick the other day that we need, particularly youth, need a GPS system. And G stands for gratitude, cultivating an attitude of gratitude. And then P stands for pay it forward. It also means finding purpose in your life, pay it forward. And then S is the scribing, is the journaling. And so I think if people do those three things, I think they'll get through life better. And just like a GPS system, it can guide them better to a more rewarding life.
All right. Well, that's going to be the end of the first episode of the roundtable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm Nick,
I'm Larry.
I'm Franko.
I'm Brody.
I'm Johnny.
and this is the LTL Show. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for listening. Next episode, join me as we welcome John England, a distinguished figure in law and healthcare. John's work spans from England Law PC to the 21st Judicial District Attorney's Office and beyond. A Crichton Law grad, he's known for his community service and his advocacy for rehabilitation in the criminal justice system. While Larry won't be able to join us, he's left insightful questions for our conversation with John. Don't miss this insightful episode, where we explore John's unique perspective on justice and service. Remember, leadership is not just a title, but the profound expression of the love and truth we bring into the world.